and even for a whole 2 years to get through a trial, to get a police officer charged. It was historic that a police officer was charged with murder in California and had not happened in 15 years. And that's why we come back. That's why we come back to Fruitvale. We will always come back to Fruitvale. And we will always raise the cry for justice for Oscar Grant. We will always raise a cry, and we will always declare that Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Justice for Oscar Grant. Justice
for Oscar Grant. Justice for Oscar Grant. Justice for George Lloyd.
Justice for George Floyd.
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 When we come out, we stand with the people around the country. It's not just us. Sometimes we come out and we might feel small. We might feel unprepared. We might not be sure how we fit in. We might not be sure how we can contribute. But what we know is that everybody can. Everybody can do something. Everybody can raise their voice. Everybody can come and contribute somehow. Come to a caravan, come to a rally. Talk to the people in your neighborhood. Talk to the people, talk to your neighbors, talk to the people on your block. Because the world is changing. The world is changing by the day, by the minute. One morning, one day we're dealing with the coronavirus as a new thing. The next day the president says it's a joke. The next day we get 10,000 people dead in New York. Months later we get 50,000. Now we're only 3 months into this and over 100,000 people have died from the coronavirus. Over 100,000 people have died from the coronavirus. And it's mostly been for elderly and Latino families.
Comfortable with it, you can. If you want to pull around the cars and just park somewhere a block away, and if you're comfortable double parking, you'll find something faster. We're just trying to make room for everyone. Parking lot right on the side. Yeah.
Come and bring your neighbors and bring yourself. If I can't pay rent, if I can't pay rent next month, if I can't pay rent the month after that, so many of us, they think that we're just going to get evicted and like we're going to go and join the already tragic proportions of numbers of people who are living on the street. You know, the reality is that this government and this system has no plan. They have no plan to take care of us. There is no resources for us. We get a $1,200 check. That doesn't even pay 1 month rent in the Bay Area. That doesn't pay 1 month rent in Oakland. So, you know, now they're preparing, now we're getting curfews and martial law, supposedly because of the protests. But they're not, yeah, they're upset about the protests that have happened, but what they're really worried about is the protests that are to come. Because this crisis is getting worse. And we are standing up around the country and saying, you know what, we're gonna fix this shit ourselves. If you can't take care of us, if you can't take care of us, we're gonna take care of us. And if that means that we have to fight to do that, then that's what we're gonna do. So Where People Strike Bay Area, we also are organizing here with the Dandelion Collective and Essential Workers Unite. We're also partnered with Courage Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice and with
Who killed, put his knee on George Floyd. His wife just divorced him because she saw the tape. She knew how he was, you know, control freak or whatever those cops tend to be, and she divorced him. the officer that shot my son, his wife was in the process of divorcing him. She backed off when he shot my son. She stood with him for 2 more years, but she ended up talk about Mario Woods in San Francisco, saying, well, he should have been high as a kite, you know, walking around like that. They had the situation under control. They should have just backed off and let it play out. But they don't know how. They'd rather execute him. Same thing with my son. My son's name was Petey, as in Pedro, and he was cooperating with the cop at first. Then he asked the cop, am I being arrested or what? The cop said, no, you're being detained. He said, F this. He got up, started walking away. The cop attacked him from behind, threw him to the ground, and all my son could do was keep from the cop from hitting him and stuff. And the cop backed up away from him, bam, 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 shot him. We got a video of most of it from inside the store looking out the window. It's on justiceforPetey.com, and it's on Facebook as well, but it's on the murder of Petey Perez on YouTube. So the cops come out with their false narrative on all this stuff. You got to believe what we're telling you and not what you see with your own eyes. And that's what they tell us in all these cases. Every one of us who are victims of police brutality, same thing. Believe what we're telling you. Don't believe your eyes. You can't believe what you're seeing in the video. So, you know, here they go again, justifying George Floyd. But we all see what we saw. It was the man was handcuffed. He was on the ground. He was down. There was no reason for that cop to continue suffocating him the way he did. He was pleading for his life. So it just. When is it ever going to quit? We got to change these laws. We got to take away this police officer's Bill of Rights. They need to be convicted just like you and I would. We see right now when if you and I do something, what do? They stack charges so they can at least get a conviction out of it. When a cop does something, they barely come out with 1 charge. They don't want to. You know, there's a lot of charges there. There's a violation of just plain civil rights, let alone the murder part of it. But they don't stack charges against the cop. They just pretend to do what they're doing, and then it goes away. And then, you know, how many more years are they going to keep doing this? Hopefully, we're going to put a stop to it now. We're going to keep them from keeping on this. And I just, you know, I really miss my son very, very much. He'd be 30 years old right now. He talked all the time about all the injustices he saw the police doing to people. You know, we were in my work yard's in a black neighborhood in Richmond, and my son was friends with everybody in the neighborhood. Everybody, you know, they knew him as the white boy, even though we're Mexican. So he was loved, and I could keep on talking forever, but telling me I could be done too. So we need to change these laws. We need to stop these police from doing what they're doing. All these damn pigs out here are getting paid overtime to sit here and watch us protest against them, and they're loving it. And we're all losing, you know, because of the COVID virus. A lot of people are losing their job. Did any of them lose their job? Hell no. Are any of them going to lose any pay? Hell no. They're just going to, and they're crying like babies right now because Governor Newsom wants to cut their pay. So they need to back off. We don't need that many police. We need true community police. And thank you.
And you know, all you have to do is look in the streets of cities around the country. We clearly are not asking. We are demanding. That's right. And we want investment. Instead of people crying about fucking looting, we need rebuilding of these cities. They always needed to be rebuilt. They needed to be rebuilt before these stupid condos that they're spending millions of dollars on. Whose street? Whose street? We want accountability, and we're going to get it. Because if the country had not risen up together, that cop never would have got arrested. And that's what we have to do to get every one of them arrested, and that's what we're going to do. And so our next speaker is going to say little bit more about a whole other component of this situation, which is the whole incarceration machine that we are living in. It's a whole setup, and we're going to upset the whole damn thing. So please welcome Jay Vasquez from Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice.
What up, y'all? Let's get a chant real quick. Let's get the fired up. When I say can't breathe, you say set them free. You got it? Can't breathe.
Set him free.
Can't breathe.
Set him free.
George Lloyd, can you hear us? You can't hear us, y'all. You can't hear us. Can't breathe.
Set him free.
Can't breathe.
Set him free.
Set them free, damn it. Set them free. I'll did a little bit of spoken word, and I'm sorry my memory's all messed up, so I'm gonna forget a little bit. You bear with me. That's right. Suffocation, asphyxiation, we can't breathe, gentrification, mass incarceration, police brutality, black and brown people, it's our reality. Second-class citizens, ICE deportation, basic rights denied, deprivation. Capitalism is the culprit. That's right, hell yeah. Capitalism is the culprit. Preach it from the pulpit. We will not take it any longer. Together, we are stronger. We are the majority. Racial equity is our priority. Fund our schools, decarcerate, free our people, liberate. That's right, liberate. Break the chains of oppression, raise your voice, political expression. Press their knee on our neck, we won't be silenced. No justice, no peace, we're sick of the violence. It's more than just a few bad apples. The whole tree is rotten. Racism runs deep. Racism runs hella deep. The entire system is the problem. COVID-19 is not to blame for the suffering that we see today. Job insecurity, economic disparities, we stand in solidarity, united in similarities. We demand total transformation. Hear our frustration. Feel the pulsation. One heart, one mind, one voice. Down with the prison industrial complex. All hands on deck. We demand respect and won't settle for anything less. We can't breathe when they marginalize us, criminalize us. We can't breathe when they fund $81,000 a year to incarcerate my brother, break the heart of my mother. When they fund less than $12,000 a year per student, we all suffer. We can't breathe when police terrorize our communities and treat us with indignities. We can't breathe because we are not free. We are not free. This is why we fight back. We are under attack from a racist and class-based system. We need to reach for the stars, dream beyond bars, and then, and only then, can we breathe. George Floyd, rest in power. George Floyd, rest in power. One more time. Can't breathe. Set him free. Can't breathe. Set him free. Can't breathe.
Set him free.
Set us all free, goddammit.
And next, as we all know, that we also have an education crisis in this country. So not only do we have a housing crisis and a healthcare crisis and an incarceration crisis, we also have an education crisis. In addition to not being able to pay rent next month or the month after that, not being able to pay bills, we're also not going to be able to send our kids to school safely, and teachers aren't going to be able to go to school, and so, and work and go to work safely. And so teachers, educators are organizing as well. And so our next speaker is John Holmes from Peralta Federation of Teachers, which includes Merritt, Laney, all of our community colleges here. Yeah. Welcome, John Holmes.
Thank you. I teach history at Merritt, and we're seeing history unfolding in front of our eyes. Is that close enough? Can people hear me? Now, just today, the Executive Committee of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, of which I am a member, has issued the following statement. The union representing teachers, librarians, and counselors at the 4 Peralta community colleges categorically condemns the state-sanctioned murder of George Floyd earlier this week in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We stand in solidarity with those protesting in Minneapolis, Oakland, and across the country, demanding justice from police and other institutions that historically and to this day consistently devalue and dehumanize black and brown lives while protecting the interests and property of the wealthy. We also stand in proud solidarity with our union siblings of the Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 1005, who refuse to allow the police to use their buses to transport protesters to jail. Violence against black and brown bodies is a defining characteristic of this nation, whose actions have always been at odds with its empty proclamations of freedom and equality. As community college educators, our duty is to ensure that our students are socially and intellectually prepared to further their education and enter the workforce. This responsibility is complicated by a social system and institution that empowers police to harass, abuse, murder, and lynch our students with few consequences. Meanwhile, police in the Bay Area and cities all over the country make desperate calls to honor the memory of murdered men and women of color by staying home. A call that reeks of such hypocrisy that it only makes the arguments for their abolition stronger. The killing of George Floyd and so many others in his name, in so many names, and those of countless others, we see our families, our loved ones, our students, and even one another as we grapple with the pain and helplessness that comes with the political tragedy of violence that is sanctioned and condoned by a country that maintains its system of institutional racism. And violence against African American and other marginalized communities. We grieve another loss today, as we did yesterday, as we will tomorrow. We watch, we write, we teach, and we march with the protesters. As educators in the East Bay area, we also keep foremost on our minds and our raised voices the words of Frederick Douglass in 1857 that are just as true today, that our struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, and it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. The members of the Peralta Federation of Teachers are educators. We are one with our students, we are one with our community, and we will never sit down when they stand up. That's the statement that we've just issued to our membership. These are good words. Like the other members of the Executive Council, I signed off on them. But what I have to say right now, words are fine, but what's really needed is to go from words to action. In Minneapolis, the all-Democratic Party institution in Minneapolis, at the same time, just yesterday, the police chief in Minneapolis distributed flowers at the memorial for Brother Floyd. And just a few hours later, he sent his police out and 150 demonstrators were arrested. Right. At the same time. And something else I want to say. What's needed is for the labor movement to stand up and act, and particularly in Minneapolis, where the entirely Democratic Party administration of the state of Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis has imposed brutal martial law on the people of Minneapolis. What's really needed is for labor to take strike action against that, starting in Minneapolis and maybe elsewhere too. That's what I think is needed. I'll just say one other thing. All across the country, demonstrators are being tear gassed in the middle of the COVID crisis. What does tear gas do? It gets you coughing in close quarters with other people, right? So I don't know how many people are going to get COVID as a result of police action and how many are going to die, but these are, yes, more victims of police brutality in America. So just a little piece of advice for all of you. When you go to the rallies, make sure to wear these masks. Don't take them off when you start coughing. Cough right into them if you have to. And bring along a handkerchief, because when your eyes start crying, you want to wipe them with a piece of cloth, a clean piece of cloth, and not with your hands. I guess that's all I really have to say today. Time for labor to stand up.
And we have every reason to believe in what we can see. We have every reason to be inspired because labor is standing up. The bus drivers in Minneapolis have refused to transport people arrested by the police during protests. That is huge. Because, you know, there are moments in history where people stand together like this, where people stand together across race lines, class lines, gender, every kind of orientation, where people stand together and stand in the streets. And we see that with the bus drivers. We're seeing that with workers who are walking out. Facebook workers just did a little walkout because they're sick of Trump's lying on social media. Like, I mean, goddamn, when Facebook workers are complaining, you know, like things are getting bad. And I mean, things have been bad, but there are these things that show us that the situation is exceptional. It was bad enough when we had healthcare workers who can't get freaking face masks in the richest country in the world. Doctors and nurses are begging for PPE. I mean, that's where we started, right? And so, you know, the only way, and you know, doctors can't get face masks, but they sure do with the cities and the states and the feds and the National Guard. They have got a shit ton of tear gas. They are not suffering from any shortages at all, so we clearly have a problem with priorities. And so when we stand together, that's when we have power. We're going to continue to do that. Our next speaker is Pastor Nelson from the St. Paul Lutheran Church of Lodi, who is a migrant worker and immigrant rights activist. Please welcome him for coming here, taking that trip from the Valley. Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. This is where I need to be, here with you, lifting our voices against oppression, against targeting black and brown bodies, against the targeting of minorities, of poor people, of people who have been targeted historically since 1492. And that's why I'm here. And the other reason I'm here is that you need to know something about who I am. I represent the Lutheran Church. Minneapolis, Minnesota, is our stronghold. So I have to be here. Many Christians in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, are from my tradition. So I have to show up and say, no more. No more. No justice, no peace.
No justice.
No justice, no peace.
No justice.
And that's what I came. I also want to tell you that there's intersectional work going on. Migrant workers, African American brothers and sisters, Asian Americans, Native Americans, the LGBTQ community, when we are targeted because we're different, as a religious man, I have to say, baloney, BS. We're all created equally. We're all children of God, regardless of where we come from, what we believe, or the color of our skin. That's why I came. That's what I'm here. I want to tell you, thank you. Keep it up. Keep the pressure. Keep those fists up. Keep your voices saying, denouncing what needs to be denounced, Because if you don't do it, no one will do it for us. We need to be the ones bringing the message, lifting up the voice of those who, like us, like the communities, as we were doing the caravan, as I'm looking at to my left, to my right, people of color. Some of them afraid of what might happen to their kids. My son is here. The other reason I'm here is because of my son. I had to have the talk with my son.
I know, that's like, I had got some.
As he was getting ready to drive for the first time when he turned 16, I had to tell him, I'm from Puerto Rico, I'm Afro-Caribbean. I saw in the face of George Floyd my own reflection, my own self also being crushed.
I love that name, so I always call you that.
I cannot breathe anymore either. I cannot breathe anymore intolerance, injustice, and racism. I can't. Neither should you or anyone else for that matter. So to the brothers and sisters, our siblings who are religious and are afraid to speak up, I say, speak up. Raise your voice. Come right here. Walk with the community. Hear the cries of the people. You don't have to agree with me on what I stand for, what I believe. I love you. I hope you love me for what I am, and I love you for who you are. And that's what it means to be a community. That's what solidarity is about. So I hope and pray you take this message with you so that everyone may see in each other a reflection of the best of humanity.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
Yes. One last thing. You are, all of us, we have been called by the circumstances, by this crisis, to the realities and the inequalities. This crisis has unveiled them. Now no one cannot say anymore, it's not true that there's police brutality. It's not true that workers are not protected. COVID-19 has unveiled all the inequalities in this country. Now no one can say it's not true. The truth has been revealed. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Ahora voy a hablar en español. Estoy aquí como un latino, como miembro de la iglesia y como miembro de la comunidad inmigrante. Aunque soy de Puerto Rico, trabajo con gente que viene de Oaxaca, que viene de Michoacán, de Honduras, de Ecuador, de distintas partes de nuestra América. Y ellos han sido explotados, han sido marginados históricamente, al igual que nuestro hermano George Lloyd, que fue asesinado vilmente. Fue linchado en nuestros televisores. Lo vimos en vivo, cómo su vida se iba disipando. Y este hombre, que también era un hombre de fe, un hombre bueno, su vida ha sido truncada, eliminada. Y por eso estoy aquí. Estoy aquí por mi hijo. A mi hijo le tuve que decir cuando tenía 16 años, cuando tengas un encuentro con un oficial de la policía, mantente derecho, pon tus manos en el guía, en el manubrio del vehículo, para que nadie pueda decir que haces un movimiento de momento y te disparen y te maten, porque tú eres latino. You got brown skin. Somos marrones. Y a nuestros hermanos negros, a nuestros hermanos marrones, a nuestros hermanos nativoamericanos, a nuestros hermanos asiáticos, a la comunidad gay, LGBTQ, a ellos también los están marginando. Y debemos evitar el odio, debemos evitar pensar que somos mejores que el otro o la otra, porque somos diferentes. En la diferencia está la belleza de este mundo. Dios ha creado un mundo bello, hermoso, porque somos diversos, distintas ideas, distintos colores, distintos lenguajes, distintas sexualidades. Por eso es que en la diversidad hay belleza. Pero hay aquellos que no les gusta esa diversidad y quieren, como hicieron con nuestro hermano George Lloyd, mantener a aquellas personas que son minoría a un lado, en el suelo, pidiendo clemencia por su vida. Como dije en inglés, ¡no más! ¡No más! ¡No más! ¡No más! ¡No puedo respirar! ¡No puedo respirar! No puedo respirar más injusticia, no puedo respirar más intolerancia y no puedo respirar más racismo. Gracias a todos. Dios les bendiga. ¡Qué apreciación!
¡Sí se puede! Yes, we can. ¡Sí se puede! Yes, we can. ¡Sí se puede! Yes, we can. Okay, Rachel. Look, all of our communities are under attack. We have the Essential Workers Unite movement, Drivers Unite movement. You have corporations that are practicing abuse of all the workforce. People do want to return back to work, but the problem is that we need to return to a safe workplace, because you get a few dollars and you die. You bring a disease, a virus back to your family and they die. Is that worth it? It's short-term gain, and it is for profit, and it is for the corporations that are putting profits before people. We cannot accept that anymore. We need to speak up together in solidarity. Que si se puede, yes we can. Si se puede, yes we can. Si se puede, yes we can. Unidos jamás serán vencidos. United, we will not be divided and defeated. But it takes all of us in solidarity to make that happen. I'm Edward Escobar. I'm the founder of the Alliance for Independent Workers, Alliance of Essential Workers, and we are all essential. We need existential protections in the workplace, people. That's for all of us. Essential means existential. We must continue to exist because we are the taxpayers. We're the ones that keep the lights on. We pay the bills. We pay the salaries for the police, for law enforcement. Wait, the politicians, the legislators. Who do you think that these folks answer to? It's the higher up. So we need to rein in bad behavior from all levels. But we need to do it in unity, and we need to call them out. We have another action coming July 1st. Every month, the first of every month, we are counting on all of you to show up. Show up, that's all we ask. Stand there. You don't have to speak, but your body speaks for you that you showed up. Si se puede, it does make a difference. What about the independents? What about the independents in all of us? That's why we are fighting for real independence, for independent contractors. Why? Because it preserves full-time employment. AB 5 must stand. Do not allow the corporate titans, the Uber, the Lyft, the DoorDash, the Instacart, the Postmates, the Grubhub. I know all you guys use them. You know those guys? They're driving the restaurants out of business. They're taking all their clientele. They're switching it to themselves. We can't allow that. Take care of